You're watching the basketball tournament on ESPN. It's round one of what is a 3-week, $2 million winner-take-all tournament. It's the third game of the day here in the Memphis region. Team Arkansas up against Louisiana United. And we welcome you courtside, everybody. Matt Martucci and the man who threatened to light his TBT bracket on fire, Tim Scarborough, during our break. No chalk so far. 2 games, 2 upsets.
It's been totally unpredictable the way TBT has been. When they get on the court, there's one thing on paper. Some teams don't have all their players, so we understand that. But you still have to go out there and perform. Remember, Overseas Elite only had 5 guys when this whole thing started, and they have never lost. They are the LeVar Ball of the tournament. But for this game, this is a big one. We talked about those first 2 games being pretty solid. Now we're in for the main course. This Team Arkansas team, as good as any team in this tournament. They're 13 deep, and they are ready to play.
Now Jackson with an 8-1 upset. The underdogs proving to be just that in our previous game. And the Southern Gentlemen, at least in seed, with a 10-point victory over the Broad Street Brawlers. Bluff City and Team Everyday, the Memphis matchup, still to come. This Team Arkansas, as you mentioned, loaded with talent.
Loaded.
As we take a look at our starting lineups, which are presented by Air Force Reserve. Rodney Clark, 3 years with the Arkansas Razorbacks, finished up at Butler. The name that we talked about that really stands out, more than 1,800 career points as a collegiate. And then for Louisiana United, Tyron Johnson on your screen is the man who put their team together. But we know what Marcus Posley is capable of, the former St. Bonaventure guard.
And he picked Marcus Posley up after they played in Richmond last year, after they played against each other. Remember, Posley went off and upset that Wake the Nation team pretty much by himself. He went for 30-plus points. And then the next game, they had to play this Team Arkansas team, or Louisiana United, I should say. And from that moment on, Jaron Johnson was able to recruit him, or Tyron, I should say, was able to recruit him and get him signed up. So there he is. And we talked about, you know, he played at St. Bonaventure, and he and Jalen Adams was 2 of the most prolific scorers in Atlantic 10 history. That combination was deadly.
Night session, and we waste no time getting into it. Game 3 of what's 4 here in our first round. 3 rounds across what's 8 regions. 4 of those regions getting started this weekend. We have counterparts right now in Greensboro, in Columbus, in Lexington. And we have a bit of an extended delay because apparently they're waiting for a player to get out of the locker room. It's Jordan Tolbert. Got to adjust that earring.
Got to take that earring out, right?
Yeah, you and I don't have that problem.
Nah, I've never.
Back in your Liberty days, I feel like you probably rocked the diamond studs, didn't you?
No, I did not. Did not. Never done it.
Well, I was going to say there was a 50-50 shot that one of us at this table could have pulled them off. You were the 50 that could have done it.
And I elected to pass on that.
But what's already been a fun day here in Memphis, and what's been a tournament so far across these 4 regions, chock full of early upsets. Out in Columbus, the region going down to Red Scare. But will we get back to chalk here in Memphis? We're going to find out. Team Arkansas, the red. Louisiana United, the white.
Well, for the first time, a team that's capable of winning it all, in my opinion, is in front of you and me, Matt Martucci. This Team Arkansas is for real.
Wes Ford, Chris Paxi, and Raymond Tate are officials this evening.
And New York Knick Bobby Portis, the head coach of this group.
Catch and shoot for Patrick Richard, who plays on a team that was assembled by Tyron Johnson, but Louisiana United, interesting in that there's really nobody from Louisiana on this roster.
But so they are united, though.
But they are together.
How about that pass into the rim?
Rodney Clark, we said, when it rains, it pours.
This guy, now he's a great shooter, so let's give him credit, but that was luck.
I was just going to say, it's very typical of a guy who on the floor in college could make a shot from pretty much anywhere.
Wow, that was fortuitous for Rodney.
Alandis Harris down the lane, count it, plus the foul for the former Razorback.
And this is one of those alumni teams well built. You see Harris going to the line after this nifty drive in traffic, a little touch foul, but nonetheless a foul, and it counts.
Team Arkansas team put together by general manager Keith Kelly, former Division II basketball assistant, and now a Division III sports information director. Just a hoop head, like the two of us at this table.
Yeah, he certainly is. Friend of mine to add. We talk a lot.
Posley used the screen, couldn't get it to go for the former All-A-10 selection. Rise, fire, and Clark.
Oh.
He's in the gym, so he's in range.
And, we talked about this off camera, a nice block by Thomas there. You wouldn't teach a person to shoot the way Rodney Clark shoots it because he shoots it over his head, but he is effective.
Dueling perimeters, Tyron Johnson, who played pro ball in France the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, when Tyron, you mentioned him putting this team together, he was telling me today he was in the middle of his season in May trying to get this team put together. Because, we talked about how a GM is Johnson hits another one from downtown. It's a headache to be a GM. And that's with, regular jobs. When you're a professional basketball player, you need your rest and your sleep. He said he wasn't even sleeping, man. He was trying to get on the phone, making these long-distance calls, trying to get everybody together. And even up to last night, they're shorthanded as well. They just have 6, I believe, today.
A.J. Packer, who played his college ball at Wright State, out there with Johnson. Might have gotten hit on the arm.
Nice cut.
But staying with it, and the left this time.
And you can just tell the guys who are not just professionals, but they're over there in France, in the case of Johnson, and they're balling. I mean, the way he moves, the way he understands this game, you can just see his presence on the court.
Harris again using the window. A couple of buckets for him. And tied once again. Louisiana United, interesting situation in that their GM from a year ago, basically what felt like in a middle of the night, take the roster and leave type of situation.
Yeah, very much so, huh?
Ended up bamboozling, as Tyron Johnson described it. Bamboozling them and left them without a lot of their players from a year ago. So he had to put together a roster in the better part of the last month and change.
Yeah. Which is very difficult to do.
Jabril Durham missed the drive, knocked out of bounds. It'll stay here.
And those of you who really follow TBT closely remember Louisiana United was the team last year in Atlanta that almost made history. They had a controversial foul at the end of the game. In fact, it was Tyron Johnson who committed the foul. He ripped, who he feels clean, ripped Jeremy Pargo and was off to the races for the game-winning layup with this team. He had already outletted it, and then the whistle blew and gave Jeremy Pargo the winning free throws against Louisiana United. And they had a chance to make history, but it was staved off by that call.
Clark, always the unselfish. Harris.
But as you mentioned, Tooch, this is not that group. Of course, Johnson's still here, but pretty much the rest.
One of our favorite players who played his college basketball in New Orleans, Bo McCaleb, because of the shakeup in the roster, ended up, I think, out of sorts as to who was going where and decided not to play.
And then, you got Brian Allen, who's now playing with that Mason team next week in Richmond.
The Green Machine.
The Green Machine, his alma mater.
I feel like half the A-10 is in that region.
It feels like it.
There's a Richmond team there. There's a VCU team there. There's a George Mason team there. Yeah. Just need to start expanding regions to 14 or 15 teams, and you could get the whole league.
And then you throw in Old Dominion, who's a rival of VCU.
And Nick Biberai heading up that team, former Monarch. Posley, second chance off of the rebound. And you can't give those to him.
One of the A-10's finest right there, St. Bonaventure. Coach Mark Schmidt, who does an unbelievable job every year with that group. And that's almost a turnover there. Qualls, and Qualls, number 24 with the ball. He's on my all-Memphis region team. He and Rodney Clark from this talented Team Arkansas group.
Air ball on the second chance this time.
Tolbert.
Yeah, this time Jordan Tolbert in the middle of the lane.
Worth the wait. He's held the game up a little bit, but he comes in and contributes.
8-2 Louisiana United run. And it's the SMU product, Tolbert. This end, though, Anthon Bell.
Oh, that was filthy. And I'll tell you what.
Actually, yep, Bell.
You can have this kind of deep squad, and it can be a blessing and a curse. When things are going well, it's a blessing. Everybody's playing, everybody's fed, everybody's happy. But the question is going to be, when this Team Arkansas team faces some adversity, late in a game, can they come together? And more importantly, can Coach Bobby Portis put the right five on the floor?
Qualls. There he is from the outside.
There's one I know will be on the floor. Qualls from downtown. And I'd like to see Michael Qualls in the dunk contest in Chicago in a few weeks. 2-on-1 here, great delivery.
Bell jumping the passing lane and feeding Nobles, who's hit one of what's a handful of three-pointers for Team Arkansas tonight. Give him a bucket to go along with that three.
Quick 8-0 run by Team Arkansas, too. Nearly a steal there.
And back out in front, it took them all of 56 seconds. Johnson splitting the D, finding Richard. And a second three for him. Patrick Richard, who won a conference title at McNeese State and a former Southland Conference Player of the Year.
Nice D, great help.
Packer knocked it out of bounds. And already deep into the first quarter. And Louisiana United assembling the roster late. But it's Team Arkansas with the run to cut it to one. One-point lead for Louisiana United over Team Arkansas. It's pretty much almost all Arkansas alumni, with the exception of one or two. They got a ringer or two.
Yeah.
And Bobby Portis, head coach at least in name and in title, but they said that Keaton Tennyson, who's one of their assistants, doing a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of a lot of the X's and O's.
Keaton's over there in the black shirt. He told me before the game he probably won't even sit down, so he doesn't need a seat. And
Louisiana United lost a good percentage of their roster, pretty much about 90% of their guys. Tyron Johnson, one of the only holdovers, but trying to advance nonetheless.
And they certainly can. We talked about this team, Arkansas, being overly talented, and they are. They have a lot of good players, but they're certainly not unbeatable. You just have to, it's still basketball.
Posley and Richard, two good guards. Packer, you have to honor that. He can hit it.
Buckets. Tyron Johnson said Packer is an athletic, quick player, too.
Couldn't quite get to the spot. Beaten by the former Duke Blue Devil, Matt Jones. Just couldn't convert the layup. Packer off the flash. Shot clock down to 12. Posley, this is where he's best. Just too much. And foul on the rebound. They'll get Tolbert going down. .6-0 Louisiana United run over the last minute or so. Coming up on about a minute and a half. Anthon Bell the hang time and gets another bucket.
A nice quick hitter, curl cut into the paint, and an easy step back pull out by Bell.
Bell on the board. You wonder with Team Arkansas, how much does the depth help and in the same token hurt?
Right, exactly right. You know, it always, you know, you could never have too much talent. That's what people say. But sometimes I feel like it can throw up your chemistry, especially if that talent all thinks they should be the go-to guys. And I'm not saying that's this group, but it is something you have to monitor.
Ulysses Nobles blocked out of bounds, and it last touched him.
And Tooch, when you think about guys who buy their way into this tournament as well, you know, there's a few guys that they had to pay or either get 1,000 votes or pay money to add to their roster. And those guys are going to feel naturally a little bit more entitled, especially if they came out of pocket. They want playing time.
Yeah, I know Matt Jones paid his own fee, his $1,000, and willingly.
Yeah. Watch this post entry. A big push off with two hands by Johnson. Didn't get called, but he does retain possession. Got away with one there.
That's what happens when you're a TBT veteran.
you get the benefit of the doubt call.
Left it on the rim on the step back. Final 10 seconds here of our opening quarter. Jones, hang time, and fouled. Packer got him on the arm. And the DeSoto, Texas native, Matt Jones, who played for Coach K at Duke, and in the G League with the Stockton Kings this past year. Jones here because of, in large part, a friendship with Jabril Durham, who's also from DeSoto. Longtime friends. Did you get your TBT headband, by the way, Scar?
I did not. Oh, actually, maybe.
Maybe it's in the swag bag.
It could be in the swag bag. I haven't looked in it.
Mosley got it caught up going behind his back.
And it's a little different officiate. Obviously, it's a different officiated crew than those first two games. But they are calling the things like the reaching and the grabbing. And I thought that kind of hurt Gale Force in the last game because those calls weren't being made.
Mosley hits it himself and beats the clock.
We've seen that before, Matt. That kid is money in clutch situations.
6 for Marcus Mosley to end the first quarter. Louisiana United in front here in Memphis.
TBT is taking over Chicago for championship week. 8 teams, single elimination, $2 million, winner take all. August 1st through the 6th at Wintrust Arena. Visit thetournament.com/tickets to secure your seats today.
Well, might it be one of these two teams to get to championship week out of this Memphis region? Start of the second quarter here in the City of Blues. Matt Martucci, Tim Scarborough. Started with what was 8 teams. We're down to 6 here in the Memphis region. Broad Street Brawlers and the top seed Gale Force already sent packing. Durham trying to thread the needle in there after splitting a couple. Wanted Darian Towns.
I'm going to say Arkansas keeps it, though. Inadvertent horn there, now the officials.
You brought up their depth. Team Arkansas already found the way to play what was 10 different guys.
Yep. They got 13, I believe, over on the bench.
Qualls left it up on the glass, got it altered. Frank Bartley, enough hang time, but couldn't get it off the glass, struck the heel of the rim.
One of the guys who hasn't played yet is Ronnie Brewer, longtime NBA vet.
Clark one and done on the 3, but a second chance. Towns got the position, but Packer with the rebound. Bartley open, maybe too open.
Right now, the pace is favoring Louisiana United, even though they are the team that only has 6 players.
Mosley enough time to compose himself.
Yeah, but he waited too long. Great job of giving it up. He lost his rhythm.
Johnson got it started, and the big guy, Packer, from deep.
Packer played his college ball at Wright State. Oh, nice move. Couldn't convert. Nice Euro step, as they call it.
And Landis Harris has had a good start to the evening. Lost out of bounds. Whistle. Johnson, I think, wanted a foul call. Got no such thing.
Towns goes to sit down now.
And Charles Thomas, who's another former Arkansas guy. Averaged almost 25 a game in Italy this past year. Charles Thomas.
You would average 25? I think my career high was 25.
Right. Lost out of bounds, turned near the, over on left shoulder, I should say. And we look at Bluff City GM Will Coleman. They're the nightcap tonight. Actually just walked down out of your camera, bottom right screen. Johnson running the break and the two-fisted pound.
Oh, yeah. But that happens because of the patience by Bartley.
12 in the first half now for Tyron Johnson.
Like this matchup here, Tyron Johnson and Qualls.
And going the other way, they're saying he pushed off.
Red 3, so that was a hooking screen, but back at the other end, Johnson hanging on the rim, but a great delivery from Bartley the fourth.
Tyron Johnson, what a first half, already on his average from this past season in France.
How about that? Ooh, almost picked him.
By the way, we talked
almost got him again, too. Now they got him.
And they did. Qualls.
Here we go. Yeah.
And makes him pay for it.
I'm voting for Qualls to get in the dunk contest by any means necessary. Not because of that particular dunk. That was rather pedestrian for him, to be honest. But that guy is a special dunker.
Update from Greensboro, by the way. You can watch any one of these games on the Watch ESPN app, ESPN Plus. Team CP3 down by 5 late fourth quarter, getting toward the Elam ending as Richard continues to do damage from the outside and Louisiana United building its lead.
CP3 making his coaching debut, trying to stave off the L. He may have to call his State Farm agent to help him.
Yeah, no doubt. Jabril Durham with the 3 at this end. Richard this time showing the drive. Johnson, big board. Team now for Tyron Johnson. The GM can play.
You know, he told me he didn't even want to play.
I know.
Isn't that crazy?
It was because of the roster shakeup.
Yeah,
he didn't have a choice.
Yeah, didn't have a choice. Had to put a jersey on.
I think he's enjoying it now.
Oh, yeah.
Got it deflected numbers for Team Arkansas. Durham wide open from the outside. Bullseye.
So far, the unselfishness of a champion showing his head right there. Durham had an opportunity to shoot, passed it up, and ultimately got it back for the splash.
Louisiana United head coach Brad Boyd wanting to talk things over. Team Arkansas and Qualls rising up here in Memphis. Late in the first half here in Memphis, home of blues, barbecue, and basketball. TBT, first time here as a regional.
I've had 2 of the 3 Bs you just mentioned. I haven't had the blues yet. I've had the barbecue and the basketball. Maybe we take you some blues before we leave.
Yeah, we could try and do that.
With barbecue, though.
It has to include that, right? It's a package deal.
Yeah. I don't just have no depressing music. I want some depressing music and some food.
Louisiana United trying to stick around maybe for the other two things. A later start tomorrow for our two games. And then finish up on Sunday the regional final in the third round to try and get to championship week in Chicago.
Ran a set there, Tooch. That was an actual set. Old Princeton play where you dribble at him and cut back door. Show and then break, but well defended by Arkansas.
And they have the bigs, Louisiana United, to be able to execute that stuff.
They do.
Bartley off the inbounds.
Look up. Oh, had him. Allen was ahead of the pack.
Qualls wide open.
Splash. Qualls is a pro.
I like his all-region chances, by the way, if they advance.
Oh.
8 for Michael Qualls, who's actually a Louisiana native himself.
Yeah, right?
From Shreveport. Tolbert, the footwork and the rise up on the block.
Man, step through, think he's going to lay it in, and Tolbert says, get some.
United they stand indeed. More than halfway gone here in the second quarter.
Well played first half, though. A lot of skill on display.
Tolbert this time got a piece down to Johnson. Richard wanting numbers. Tolbert and mind ahead of body there.
Sure was. But he shouldn't have been reticent to shoot that. If he's a three-point shooter, which he is, let it fly, big fella. Let it fly.
Well, knows what to do down here on the block. The footwork and the punishment. Louisiana United up. Louisiana United by 3 here at our Memphis region. We're into predictions. Tim Scarborough's Memphis All-Region team. Couple of Arkansas folks. Rodney Clark is one of them.
Yeah, Rodney hasn't really, he threw that one three-pointer in, but we really haven't seen him get off just yet. But Michael Qualls, we've seen him on display. Omar Sanham and Gabe York already early exits in the first 2 games. So my chances of getting those guys correct are very slim.
3 out of 5 isn't bad, right?
3 out of 5 is not bad, especially in baseball, huh?
Team Arkansas keeping it alive. Kayvon Allen, who played his college ball at Florida, but is an Arkansas native, kept it alive. And Dontel Jefferson off the bench with a bucket.
Now a steal.
Yeah, quick hands. Jones going to the rack.
Matt Jones felt like he was pushed. Team Arkansas with a chance now to take the lead thanks to a careless play by Louisiana United. Let's see if they actually run a set. Yep, they got an inbounds play in, a simple one.
Update from Greensboro. They're into the Elam ending.
Okay.
Tampa 2020 up by 3 on Team CP3, 71-68.
Striking distance. Do you know what the Elam target is? That doesn't give you that, does it?
I'm assuming it's 79.
Oh, got rim checked. Hung himself.
Johnson, Durham at this end trying to capitalize, and they can't.
Man.
The miss from Allen.
Tyron Johnson would love to have that one back. He tried to hammer it.
And Lexington, Team KBC running away against the Peoria All-Stars. And Big X up on top of West Virginia Wildcats in Columbus. Looks like they're into the Elam ending there as well.
So we mentioned the alumni teams, but we failed to mention the conference teams. There's a MAC conference team we talked about earlier, and that Big X team, or Big Ten, is another way of reading that. That's a team full of guys from Michigan and Ohio State, some other Big Ten schools that have gotten together. So that's an interesting blend. Instead of going with an alumni team, you go with a group of guys you played against and with.
Yeah, so there are different ways to do this.
none of it's mattered so far.
No, I know, exactly.
Other than the first year, the Notre Dame alumni team won.
I was going to say up is down, left is right.
Yeah.
Jefferson with 12 to shoot, and the slice and score.
All of these Team Arkansas players so good at dribble, drive, able to control your body, jump into the defender, and get a nice, easy shot off. Impressive.
Richard drew it in. Johnson capitalized.
Consummate pro. He missed that dunk. A lot of guys would still be thinking about that. Johnson steps up, knocks down a three.
You can see why he's been so successful as a pro.
Yeah.
Can score pretty much anywhere he wants.
And Tyron Johnson and Jaron Johnson last year together, you remember, they were quite the duo for this Louisiana United team. And again, Jaron Johnson on that region team, and I don't believe he showed up today because of him playing with the Lakers. But nonetheless, this is not your older brother's Louisiana United team. That guy right there is pretty much Johnson, the only one left over.
I was going to say he is big brother.
Yeah, exactly.
Anthlon Bell with the line. Team CP3, by the way, getting production from those former North Carolina Tar Heels. Kennedy Meeks, 15 in that game. PJ Hairston, who's on that roster, with 10.
That sounds like a lot of interior scoring right there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Here in Memphis, we're tied yet again.
So now some full court pressure here.
Packer able to break it.
It's hard to pressure good teams with professional players, though, because they get right into their press attack. They're all five guys can handle the ball. It's a lot of court to cover.
Richard got forced into something he didn't want to do by Jefferson, but Mosley, there he is. Just never stops. Qualls, one and done.
You know, we mentioned this whole night about signature. He traveled there. He thinks he held his pivot foot, but he dragged that thing.
6th Louisiana United turnover.
But we talked about signature teams from various programs. Certainly the 94 Arkansas team is one we'll remember. Scotty Thurman hitting the shot against Duke. Grant Hill.
Woo Pig Suey.
Woo Pig Suey. President, I was going to say George Bush.
No, it's
President
Clinton.
Bill Clinton was there, Arkansas native.
Half the state of Arkansas is now upset. Actually, not half.
But Nolan Richardson, man, he put together some teams, didn't he?
And a push off there on Alandis Harris. Yes, he did. Some of the guys you don't even think about from those teams. Corey Beck,
Beck is who I was thinking of.
One of the most underrated players in college basketball during that time. Because everybody talked about Corliss Williamson and Scotty Thurman.
Yep. And as well as they should, two terrific college players, professional players, NBA players.
And they had the Twin Towers off the bench. Lee Wilson, Darnell Robinson. This team Arkansas is pretty good too. Winded down the first half here in Game 3 of our first round of the Memphis region in the $2 million winner-take-all tournament. Over the next few weeks, finishing up in Chicago. A Tuesday in early August. That's how it finishes up, Tim Scarborough.
And I'll tell you what, they're no longer going to do the giant check. Now they have a sponsor that will electronically send you the money That would be a great text to receive, wouldn't it?
And no more wire, not even wire it to my bank account. Just Zelle me.
Zelle me.
Qualls off the cross. Good shake. Was able to evade Johnson.
You know, Johnson did a great job of making that a tougher shot than what Qualls wanted it to be. This has been quite a ball game. Louisiana United has certainly been up to the task here in the early going.
Johnson, and not quite up to it that time.
Nonetheless, they go into the locker room on top.
41 first half points, 17 of them coming from Tyron Johnson. Louisiana United up to the task in this first half. Highlights and more coming. Now Michael Qualls and Team Arkansas with a strong first half, but trailing Louisiana United 41-39. Here in our opening round, the first round of the Memphis Regional. One of 4 in action today.
Early on, it looked like Rodney Clark was going to get it going from downtown, but we really haven't seen a lot of him. They shared the wealth, and they did it on the defensive end, and they got out in transition as Nobles was able to knock that one down. Posley almost got his pocket picked 3 times before this highlight reel dunked by Qualls, who did pick his pocket. And Qualls was exceptional in the first half. Okay, you see him splashing from downtown, but this Arkansas team was balanced. Leading scorer actually is Qualls with 8 points. At the other end, Tyron Johnson was everything we thought he would be. 17 points. He's the GM, but he's the power forward, the small forward, the rebounder, the putbacker. This guy was doing it all in the first half, and as a result, Louisiana United is in position to pull off the 3rd upset of the day. Marcus Posley, take that from downtown, the St. Bonaventure star. And even though this Team Arkansas team is very talented, Tooch, they're certainly not unbeatable, and they have their hands full right now with a different Louisiana United team.
And quite the contrast, a ton of depth versus lack thereof.
Good point.
And it hasn't mattered so far in previous situations. It was the 5 seed early on today that ended up beating the Broad Street Brawlers, the Southern Gentlemen, with only 5 guys. Can Louisiana United do it with 6? Second half coming up. Tyron Johnson having a big first half for Louisiana United. Big part of the reason why the 6th seed on top of Team Arkansas. 17 in the first half for Johnson. And what ends up being 43% first half shooting. Louisiana United only 6 guys, but it hasn't mattered so far.
Bringing a couple of guys with a full clip, though, with Johnson and Posley. 2 guys who can take over a game for you, even against a quality opponent. Because when you have guys who know how to get shots, they know how to get shots. It doesn't matter about the other team. But you look at the shooting percentage from downtown, both teams able to knock it down with a regular basis. 7 for Team Arkansas, 8 for Louisiana United. But this game is probably going to come down to the wire. I was going to say the last minute, but we don't have a last minute in TBT. The Elam ending, again, they turn the clock off, they put a target score up there, and then it's basically pickup ball. First team to that score wins. Love it.
And we're about to get started here in the second half. Seems like we said only 6 guys, but it feels like the right 6 for Louisiana United.
It's a great point.
And sometimes that makes all the difference in the world. And maybe you have too many guys, or
not that Team Arkansas does have too many.
No, not what we're saying.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, you thought if you were Louisiana United, you might have had 9 or 10. Maybe you didn't need it to be 9 or 10. Maybe you just need the right 6 and the right chemistry.
But I'll tell you, to win it all, you're going to need your 9 or 10. But to survive a game or 2 in the first weekend, yeah, you can get it done. We've seen it happen. Again, the team that's won it the last 4 years, Overseas Elite, literally got their start with just 5 guys the first weekend. But they survived, then they added their bullets. But listen, this game's far from over. But this would be another huge upset, in my opinion, if this Team Arkansas team goes down the first weekend. I mean, they are in a position with the talent that they have assembled to go far in this tournament. Right now, their hands are full with a depleted Louisiana United team.
And it's going to be Louisiana.
Jared Johnson has carried the load. He said he's not supposed to be running like this. As a Tyron, I always get Jared and Tyron mixed up. They played with each other last year on this Louisiana United team. And again, Jaron moved over to the region and then didn't even help them because he didn't show up due to him playing with the Los Angeles Lakers in the Summer League.
Yeah, the region going down earlier today at Columbus to Red Scare, the Dayton alumni. Packer over the shoulder.
And that Dayton alumni team, again, a bunch of guys that used to play with Broad Street Brawlers. So a lot of Columbus, Memphis connections so far here in this first weekend. Here's Rodney Clark, turnover there. Very quiet first half for him. He actually hit 2 threes, but only one of them should have counted. The one was a pass.
One was clearly a pass. it banked in. It was the first bucket of the game for Team Arkansas.
How about that?
Tolbert had the good footwork in the first half on the block. And this time going to the baseline with the turnaround.
I don't think you can afford to not double him in the post.
Right.
And they're not throwing it in there a lot, but when he's gotten it there, it's cash. Nice cut.
Qualls, the recipient, and punished the rim.
I love the elevation. Qualls going up to the top floor.
Richard had a good first half. Nice cut for Packer, and returns the favor at the other end.
And Packer and Johnson play together, so they understand one another. Great cut, great delivery.
5 now for the former Wright State product. One and done off the Jefferson missed 3. Patrick Richard from deep. Maybe a bit of a force. Transition in numbers. Durham off to the races, but couldn't finish.
Great contest, though. Richard changed that shot and ultimately changed the course of that play.
Angles for Posley.
Stepped out.
And stepped on the baseline.
Yep.
I like the fresh cut, by the way, for Marcus.
Yeah, me too. And we mentioned Marcus Posley's old running mate on that St. Bonaventure team, Jalen Adams, a 2-way contract with the Atlanta Hawks.
Playing with another Atlantic 10 guy, DeAndre Bembry.
Yeah, DeAndre Bembry. And I've hung out with both those guys playing top golf.
Yeah, how'd you hit him?
I didn't hit, man. I just watched.
Whirling and nearly scoring, Johnson.
But I tell you, the French kid, they used to play with the Hawks. Can't remember his name now. With the streaky blonde hair. Who's the guy on the Hawks with the blonde hair from France? Well, you know what I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about.
I can't think of his name. But he showed up. It was the middle of the summer, and he showed up in a fur coat. He was a bit strange.
Bad taste is not a crime.
Not in France or America.
Louisiana United by 4. Upset specials aplenty here in Memphis. No higher seed is won yet.
Not yet.
Tolbert drawing into double. Good D. 4-on-1. Thomas. And got it back, but Tolbert there to recover.
My goodness.
Posley, a little too unselfish. Might have had a layup otherwise.
Yeah, I don't know. That might have gotten swatted away. These guys are playing on the rim, both teams.
Richard and Clark feeding the post. Packer, soft touch.
Dennis Schroeder is who I was thinking of.
Dennis Schroeder. Okay.
He's from France, right?
I honestly can't remember.
Buckets.
There's Durham from the outside.
Is he from Germany?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Ooh.
9 now for Jabril Durham after that 3. Posley going to work, everything but the finish.
And you know, we know that they understand who Marcus Posley is. Rodney Clark, wide open one, rare miss for him.
Thomas stayed with it. Tolbert batting it out. And off to the races, maybe for Louisiana United, but good foul by Durham.
And you know, Posley's had the ball in his hands here in this second half a little bit more than he did in the first. They understand who he is, and when he gets hot, you need to keep feeding that guy because he's capable of erupting.
By the way, Big X or Big Ten, 7-point win over West Virginia Wildcats.
Oh, wow.
In the Columbus Regional.
John Elmore Marshall, an all-time leading scorer in Conference USA history, was on that West Virginia team.
And showed up with the team-high 21 points.
Yeah, oh, of course. He's a bucket getter, regardless.
And Bartley the fourth bailed out.
Yeah. Bailed out and rewarded with 3 free throws, I believe. He was behind the three-point line. And this crowd, a few people came over from Arkansas, not that far away, from Fayetteville. Take a look at the step back, pump fake. Not a lot of contact there. Let's see if we can see if there's any. Wow, that is generous, we'll say. Durham didn't like it. Bartley makes the first of 3 attempts.
And Frank Bartley the fourth spent the last season in Canada. Split his college time, 2 years at BYU, 2 years at Louisiana. And a former all-Sun Belt selection. Honestly, for a team assembled in a few weeks, Tyron Johnson did a really good job.
Yeah, I'd say so, especially with him playing in France at the time he was putting it together and up against deadlines and everything else. And just think if he had had the group that he really assembled.
Qualls fouled on the way in. Yeah, honestly, you think about how quick that roster disintegrated and how quickly he had to react and put it together.
Yeah, and how stressful that had to be. Even up to today, though. You know, he had Big Baby Davis. He went over to play for the Big Three. Marcus Thornton from LSU.
Brandon Bass, I think he
Brandon
said
Bass, he did say that. Sean Long, who is from Louisiana, ended up playing with Team Hines after he told him that he wasn't going to play this year. Sean Long played at Louisiana Lafayette, one of the top scorers in Sun Belt history, big guy. And then Bo McCaleb, and then Brian Allen. So they had a lot of different guys that they could have had on this roster, and it all started to fall apart and dissipate.
Richard knocked out of bounds. And even tonight, they were supposed to have Bernard King, one of the all-time leading scorers in the history of the Big 12.
Not that Bernard King, though, right?
No, different one. Well, he didn't go to a Big 12 school.
No. He went to SEC, Tennessee.
Yes, he did.
Ernie and Bernie show.
Bartley putting on a show himself. Back to a 4-point lead off the turnaround.
And this is exactly what I was talking about, the situation that it's still the third quarter now, a lot of time left. But if this is Elam and you're down 3 or 4 and your team Arkansas, the pressure has to really be mounting.
Bartley using the screen. Tolbert couldn't get in there to get the board. Qualls, little Euro step. Harris couldn't quite hit the glass enough. slice and the line for Qualls.
Qualls is so crafty with the basketball, going off the dribble, splitting defenders, getting himself to the free throw line when we come back.
The 2019 version of the basketball tournament presented by Puma Basketball.
I like this action.
We're in the huddle, Louisiana United by Puma.
And Patrick again, okay? And get to those spots. Bartley here, my guys, Patrick got 3 right now, okay? Be smart. We'll give you another minute, maybe some of y'all in a second. Put Posey back in position right here. We can dribble out tired. Hold tight though, Frank. Hold tight, let them get here. When they come this way, get out of there. Like we're going to you when we ain't going.
That looked like draw it in at the top of the key, Scar, and then flash to the corner.
Let's see if that actually takes place. But that was something they're drawing up after this free throw. On the make, take it out and get it through the pressure that they anticipate that's going to come.
Yeah, that's an old elementary school play. Stack it up along the one side of the lane and
Misdirection.
have somebody run to the corner.
Yep. Oh, missed that first one. And it has not been easy for the higher seeds, certainly not down here in Memphis.
I think one of the more impressive things about the construction of this Arkansas roster,
Both. Yeah.
from the college, Qualls is only 4 years removed.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's hard to get guys that have only been out a few years to get them on your roster.
That's a good point. And that's when they're at their best, too. I know as a player, when I was 24, 25, I was playing as well as I had played my entire life.
Jones lost it in the lane.
Got numbers here.
Numbers, Richard. Acceleration, just couldn't finish. Johnson there to clean it up. He can't.
Left it
Second
short.
chance and hit the glass.
Stick-to-itiveness by Johnson. Richard with the push, making it happen.
Tyron Johnson, monster tonight. 19 for him.
The big fella Towns getting into the act.
And that's the first bucket of the game for Darian Towns.
He kind of set up camp in the paint, and not many people in a white uniform capable of moving him off his spot.
Interested to see as the gym continues to fill up little by little.
Yeah, anticipation of the home team, Bluff City, as Johnson continues to reign supreme.
I was going to say, he's given people enough of a show.
Bucket.
And Qualls will go to the line.
Tyron Johnson has 21, by the way. Take a look at this last play. Another ISO play on an island. Just very difficult for Jones. He rises right over him and knocks it down. You have to love the versatility of Tyron Johnson. He played the 2, the 3, the 4. And last year down the stretch of that overseas elite game, he was playing the 5. They went small, and it got them back into the game.
Kind of like another guy we'll see in the nightcap, Adonis Thomas.
Very good point.
Richard
Lost
lost it middle of the lane. Tolbert, this time the blow by. He can do it all.
Towns, there was a day where he might have been able to stop that, but today is not that day.
And easy pickings for Tolbert. Posley
Too long.
too open. Second chance. Yes, sir. And 5 straight. The lead balloons to what's 8 for the 6th seed, Louisiana United.
They say the postman always wings twice. Posley with a second chance delivers.
11 now for Marcus Posley. And a timeout for Team Arkansas. Representing the A-10. And Tolbert from the American getting it done. Louisiana United lead has ballooned to what's 8 points as we wind down the third quarter of game number 3 of the first round of our Memphis region. 3-week winner-take-all, $2 million first prize. That's the only prize here at TBT.
Well, not exactly. The winner of the region now.
Well, that's
gets
true.
A share of, which I think is a great, and you get a share of the 25%
you get
of the purse.
Percentage of the ticket sales. That's true. So it's not the only prize.
Which is a nice incentive and a nice touch to add. And this tournament continues to evolve. There wasn't always an Elam ending. The one thing that's been a mainstay is advancing your team on the brackets. They've done that from the very beginning, I believe. But this combination of FIBA rules, NBA rules, and NCAA, they've got a great product here, and they continue to draw a high level of talent as we've seen on display here in Memphis and certainly around the country today.
And it looks like they've already started game 4 rather, of the final game of the day in Columbus.
Yeah.
Carmen's crew. It's that Ohio State team, Aaron Kraft and those guys.
They changed. It was scarlet and gray.
Mm-hmm. Qualls, good look for him. Just couldn't convert. Team KBC over the Peoria All-Stars in Lexington. Mentioned the CP3 team, Team CP3, coached by Chris. And Curl, missile to the front. Offensive glass for Bartley. Johnson wanted the second chance and knocked out of bounds.
Evan Turner is a guy that was affiliated with that. Speaking of NBA players who are associated with these teams, Evan Turner was with that Scarlet and Gray team. I don't think he's with the team this year, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember if he's still coaching or not. And then you think about Darren Collison with that Challenge ALS team as well. Darren Collison, I believe, just retired.
Yes, he did.
Very solid career for him.
Bell forced that shot.
To me, though, that Salt Lake City region is loaded.
And there's Posley again. I know you believe it's the strongest one in the field, right?
I do. It's close between that and Wichita, but I just feel like, with those two Drew League teams, the Pro League out in LA, trying to thread the needle there.
That would have almost been perfect execution of the three-man weave there.
and then you look at Challenge ALS, 2 years ago runner-up, and Everline Drive, last year's runner-up.
Johnson trying to beat the clock, winded down here in the third quarter. Off the cross. And left now at 8 is the Louisiana United lead. Team Arkansas hanging tough with Qualls. But lots of bullets in the gun for Johnson. And Louisiana United, Tolbert's there too. Three quarters down, half of one, and then an Elam ending to go. Here in our third game of the first round of the Memphis region. And might we have another upset? Louisiana United playing with only 6 players against a loaded Team Arkansas in terms of depth. Entering this fourth quarter, Tim Scarborough with an 8-point lead.
What a topsy-turvy world we're living in right now, Matt.
Yes, it is.
But this one's not over yet. Certainly striking distance for this Team Arkansas team. But they have to get some flow offensively, and they have to try to contain Posley and Johnson and Richard, because those are the 3 guys that are going to be taking the majority of the shots.
In and out for Richard. Qualls caught up, good skip. And Bell way off the mark.
He had his feet set, but he didn't look comfortable when he caught that ball. Rodney Clark now set to come in.
Posley, who's been big all game. Almost shook Thomas. Bartley, the recipient. Great setup by Posley.
And Bell, I was going to say he was tardy on the rotation, but he was right there. He just shot it right in his eye.
Qualls doing a lot of what he's done all game, getting himself to the line.
But again, if you're going to come back, Matt, you have to get stops. If you're just giving up easy buckets and you never disrupt that other team's offense and make it tough for them to score, you're not going to come back. So far, at least in this early part of the fourth quarter, Louisiana United is quite comfortable running their offense, even with 6 players. There's 6 good ones.
One of 2 for Qualls.
Just 4 turnovers on the night for Team Arkansas compared to 10 for Louisiana United. Oh, he doubled, yep.
Tolbert, giving it away. 11th turnover for Louisiana United.
Despite they lead 10. Certainly with Elam in effect. When you're up 10 this late in the game, you got to be feeling pretty good. You just don't need to let them get, if they're going to get back in it, don't let them get back in it quickly.
After Harris missed the drive, and quick hands for Qualls off the inbounds. Setting up Durham.
Oh, they needed that, Tooch. They needed it, but they did not get it. A break for Louisiana United, who turned that one over, and really, thanks to Posley's hustle, negated a sure layup by Qualls.
Field goal drought that's now 3:15 old. Not at this end. Posley will go to the line.
Did I tell you, though, Tooch? They're going to ISO Posley. They're going to isolate Johnson and Richard. They're going to take turns taking these guys to the cup. Rodney Clark on the switch. And then Harris with the personal.
I think we tried to tell Keith Kelly, the Team Arkansas general manager, that Posley would be a lot to handle.
I don't think he believed, though.
I know. Said, I know he's an A-10 guy and you're familiar with him, but we'll be able to stop him.
I don't think people understand how good the Atlantic 10 is, first of all. And secondly, when you can night in and night out just go out and score with the coaches they have in that league that write up stuff to stop you and you can't be stopped, you're an unbelievable player.
Thomas missed it. Landis Harris, the offensive glass. Allen missed the 3, but we're staying at this end.
So we talked about that warning light being on in the earlier game. It is blinking rapidly right now for this Arkansas team. But again, enough time. But do they have what it takes?
Qualls ice cold from the perimeter.
Icy.
And Team Arkansas, period, 0 for their last 11.
And nobody in double figures for Team Arkansas but Qualls.
Packer with a moving screen. Packer trying to plead his case, saying he was stationary. It's a good spot to be in, though, right now if you're Louisiana United.
I take this every day of the week.
You're 2.5 minutes from the Elam ending.
Yeah. If you have a double-digit lead going into the Elam ending, you're going to win that game unless you have a 3-mile island-like meltdown.
Good position for Thomas, who got Johnson up in the air.
Tooch, you might not be old enough to remember that 3-mile island meltdown in Pennsylvania.
Harrisburg, outside of Harrisburg.
You must have been like 1-year-old looking at the news. Saying, Mommy, what's going on out in Harrisburg?
I read about it later in life.
Well, I remember it. It was scary.
Thomas gets pushed under the basket. Posley. Marcus has given up just a little bit of weight there.
They're going to say it's a shooting foul, right? No, it's a double bonus? Yeah, it's the bonus. 5th foul now. So this is good for Team Arkansas. You got to cash these in. And at this point, you just got to get that thing under 10 and then hope you go off once the Elam ending starts. But it does not look good for the 3 seed here in Memphis right now.
5th missed free throw of this game for Thomas and Team Arkansas. Louisiana United, meanwhile, 83% from the line.
Oh, missed them both, but they get a break.
Kayvon Allen. And the shot clock did not go to 20.
Right. Well, actually, it did go to 20. It needed to go to 30.
It needed to go to 30,
Yeah.
excuse me. And referee pointed up to it and said, hey, it's at 20.
I don't know how the officials keep up with all that stuff. I know I couldn't. That's why I'm over here with you and not wearing a shirt with 3 large letters on my back.
Harris on the wheel. Glad to have you.
Glad to be here.
Nobles telegraphed it, got
Big
himself up in the air.
turnover. I mean,
That's only their 5th one of the game, but boy.
yeah, it was costly. They needed a bucket there. They missed the 2 free throws. They came up empty with the shot, but they get a break. Nice giveaway there by Jordan Tolbert.
Thomas wants the flagrant.
Not going to happen.
He's not going to get that call.
You think about how this team, Arkansas team, was assembled, all the work that is put in by our guy Keith Kelly and others. But right now, all of that is for naught. After an early round knockout last year by the Talladega Knights, they really surprised this team last year. Novar Gatson and the Givens brothers.
Approaching Elam ending time. Thomas gets the first one. Rodney Clark back in. Kayvon Allen sits down. Honestly, Scar, I thought Kayvon Allen might be more effective. He's a guy who's fresh out of college.
And Rodney Clark.
That's another one. Rodney Clark had those first 6 points and hasn't really done anything since. Inside of a minute and a half and a dead ball to the Elam ending, where we take 8 points added to the leading team's score. That becomes your target score. Whoever gets there first, you advance. So it's not survive and advance, it's Elam and advance.
Elam and advance. Great concept. Another turnover here. Can they capitalize?
Bounce game for Clark. Harris came down on top of Tolbert.
Another opportunity. You got Clark. Got to let him go.
Nobles from Clark. Can't hit that. And Richard doing a little cherry picking. Off the bounce, drew it in. Bartley set up.
They're certainly getting their chances. I don't know why Louisiana United is in such a hurry.
Clark lost it out of bounds. Stripped out by Richard.
Still a 10.
I was just going to say, it's the best case possible scenario, even because you have gone fast for Louisiana United, because Team Arkansas hasn't capitalized on any of these.
You could have a chance to cut it under 10 here with a bucket. That's only just one of many hurdles, though. That's a psychological one.
Nice post position for Towns, but 3 defenders in there. Johnson got the steal. Tolbert, bucket and the line.
Wow. There's always the Elam ending, but this one is not looking good for yet another higher seed here in Memphis.
Now, what did you say? Potentially the weakest and the most wide open.
And it has proven to be true. way this is going, if you're Bluff City, the host team is the #2 seed playing next, you gotta be pretty nervous right now. No one has been able to hold serve so far in terms of being a higher seed.
14-point lead for Louisiana United.
And based on the small history of Elam endings, this looks like an insurmountable lead.
And just the way that Team Arkansas has shot.
Yeah, they are terminal right now.
And you talk about strategy. Tolbert and Richard very much aware. They told him to back it out.
Yep. And then they're going to take a timeout.
And
Wise.
That gets us to the Elam ending.
Yeah.
You talk about it all the time, Tim Scarborough. You wonder why more folks don't strategize that way.
To get to it as soon as possible when you have especially a double-digit lead.
76 on the board. That's our target score when we return. Flashback to a year ago, Michael Qualls windmilling his way toward the next round of TBT
Bobby
for
Portis
Team Arkansas.
with the hog on his head, putting on. I did that game, and I tell you what, that was one of the most spectacular Elam ending buckets you'll ever see. A windmill to send them packing.
First 76 points. Team Arkansas. Sean lost about.
So they would have to go on a 22-7 or less run. Not that that's never happened, but it's rarely happened when you've had to let it happen. It usually happens in the flow of a natural game. But
It's just not very likely.
not very likely. And this is it's kind of like what we talked about, facing adversity as the team that's favored, especially when you have this many players. And what's going to happen when you get down? You know, as a coach, you start saying, man, do I have the right 5 on? And you tend to try to shuffle it a little bit.
There's Posley to open it up. 5 away now.
Oh, yeah. Marcus Posley is a shark with blood in the water.
17 for him. And they get the steal off the deflection. Richard coming up.
You almost have to play a perfect stretch of basketball at both ends to overcome even a small lead in an Elam situation.
Posley telegraphed that. Qualls from Durham and goaltended. Score the bucket, even though it was an athletic play from Johnson.
It's almost worth it, especially with the cushion that you have. Why not? Go punch that thing like Patrick Ewing. Take a look. Qualls with the Euro, leaves it up there. Tyron Johnson bats it, but it was goaltended.
Tolbert, scoop and score. He'll go to the line.
This is quite a development. This Louisiana United team may not be your older brother's United team, but they're still pretty good.
It doesn't matter. Their former GM is home today.
That's true. The region done.
And they're likely moving on.
Poetic justice of sorts, huh? Missed the free throw.
36% of our Elam endings a year ago on three-point field goals. Might be getting another one. Richard off of the miss.
Go for the juggler right here.
Posley.
Oh, here we go. They recognize.
The ultimate shark in the water.
This is going to be a step-back 3. Oh, it was going to be until Johnson messed it up.
Johnson wanting it and maybe a little greedy.
And you know, you have such a cushion though
That it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Thompson punching it down.
If you get to the point where it does matter, then you've done a lot wrong.
Richard and Bartley. Bartley for the ending.
Oh.
And Tolbert will stay at this end.
They call it on Thomas.
They called it on Thomas.
To me, Tolbert jumped on his back.
And I think Thomas felt the same way.
Yeah. Which is a little unfair to reward Tolbert for being overly aggressive. See, well, you know, I think what they call perhaps is the box out attempt.
When he's already up in the air.
already
up in the air.
Yeah. So I amend my original assessment. What would we do without replay in this world? Don't you wish you're married? Don't you wish you had replay in your household? I would love to play back what my wife just said. I said, oh, no, you didn't say that, huh? Let's go to the tape. I think you did say that.
It would also be good for when you're not paying attention and you get yelled at for not paying attention.
Did you hear what I just said? No, let me go to the tape.
Oh, let's run it back.
Let's go to the monitor.
We'll run it back right now. Let's see it again.
Yeah, let's huddle up and then they have to pick the player that they want to put in. Well, there's only one player they could possibly put in. They only have one player.
Well, no, pick the player to shoot the free throw.
Okay, I got you.
So the big man, it looks like Packer. So Tolbert has to sit, and actually it'll be Richard, it looks like. Or maybe it won't.
Who knows who it's going to be?
It will be Richard.
And the coach, Keaton Tennyson, was pleading his case for Team Arkansas. And I think they finally have it sorted out.
Richard leading a balanced scoring attack. Part of a balanced scoring attack. Johnson 23, Marcus Posley with 17.
Yeah, they were a three-headed monster though.
And 50 of their 74 points have come from those three.
Tolbert as well. Tolbert had a couple of and one situations.
And a point away.
1 point away. Team Arkansas, another way to say it, is several baskets away.
I like that. I don't know about quals now for all region.
No, I think I'm going to lose a bunch of, or Rodney Clark.
Durham got the layup. But still has to be plus 16 for them to get there. Johnson, acceleration. Richard for the win. Second chance. And he'll get a chance to end it from the stripe.
Johnson wanted that ending on his Elam ending record. We're keeping track of these Elam ending shots. Omar Samhan, we talked about earlier, he has 2 in his career from last season. Didn't get an opportunity this year as Gale Force knocked out here in the first round, the number 1 seed, and now the number 3 seed teetering.
Richard already in double figures. For the win. I mean, we weren't really going to end on a free throw, were we? One more for the former Southland Player of the Year. This time for the win. The region of upsets continues to be the 3-seed Team Arkansas upended by Louisiana United and its 6-player roster.
And this one is as shocking as it could possibly be. This Team Arkansas team, we talked about them possibly getting a text message from Zell for $2 million, and yet here they are, about to go back to Arkansas with an L. Amazing, and congratulations to this Louisiana United team. They put it together with toothpicks and bubble gum, but they were able to not only win and survive, they handled this Team Arkansas team.
And our last chance at chalk for the night. The all-Memphis matchup.
We're the anti-chalk region right now, though.
Yes, we are.
If you're in Memphis, you got to be very afraid.
That's okay. We're all right with carrying that torch. The 2-seed Bluff City against the 17-901, still to come. And Tyron Johnson, the architect of this roster,
how about that guy?
On short notice. His team now 5 wins away.
Impressive.
From a $2 million prize and the TBT title. Louisiana United roster gutted from a year ago. Moving on. For my broadcast partner, Tim Scarborough, as well as our entire fine, fantastic crew here in Memphis, Matt Martucci saying so long. We're coming back in about 15 minutes for Bluff City at Team 901.